this week we only got to do one lesson. That was lesson 35 in class, and we didn't even get to finish the whole thing. So today we're going to do a couple from lesson 5, and then I'm going to do lesson 36. In lesson 36 there's only 3 problems, so it shouldn't be too bad. So let's look back at lesson 35. There's a couple problems. I'm not sure if I covered this. Remember, I was going in speed mode. So let's try 2 problems from lesson 35 to help clarify that. Remember, if you have a number raised to an exponent, that the bottom number is the index of the radical. Remember, if it's on the bottom, it sits on the seat. So let's simplify 32 to the square root to the power of 2/5. So that would be 32, and we can change it into a radical. The bottom number, the index, sits on the seat. So it's the 5th root of 32. The top number is the power that you raise the whole thing to. So it's going to be the 5th root of 32. We have this 2. It's going to go right here, squared. The 5th root of 32 is 2. 2 squared is 4. So 32 to the 2/5 power is simply 4. Let's look at this one. It has a negative exponent. We can't do anything, when we have a number, you can't raise it to a negative exponent. You have to make the exponent positive. So in this one, what we have to do is put it as 1 over 8 to the 2/3. And it makes the exponent positive. We still have this negative sign in front of the 8. You can put that anywhere. You can leave it at the top, you can put it in front of the fraction, or you can bring it at the bottom. I'm just going to leave it at the top. So let's simplify the bottom. Remember, it's the bottom number of the fraction sits on the seat. So let's draw our little seat, put our 3 on the seat, put the 8 under there. This is the power that the whole thing's raised to after you simplify the square root. And so we're going to get -1. The cube root of 8 is what times what times what gives us 8. And that's going to be 2. And then we still have to square it. So our final answer is -1 over 4. I did that pretty quickly again, but at least you can rewatch this video and make sure you understand it when you go to do those problems. Alright, let's start with lesson 36. Again, these are like kind of my favorite kind of problems because you get to cross out a bunch of stuff, and it's always fun crossing things out. We're going to multiply 2 polynomial fractions. So it looks kind of complicated. There's lots of x's and numbers and all kinds of stuff. We're going to multiply. When you're going to multiply these type of fractions, the first thing you have to do, you could multiply this times this, and this times this, and this times this, and then this times this, etc. But that's not going to give you a simplified answer. What you need to do these is to factor everything that you can factor. So what I like to do is I just like to factor them right on top and right on the bottom. If you think that's too messy, you can recopy it and have it all factored in the next step. So I'm going to factor this trinomial. Remember, trinomials are factored into 2 binomials if they're factorable. We say what times what gives us x squared, and that's x and x. What times what gives us -20, and when we subtract them, we get 1. So that would be 5 and 4. We want it to be a +1 right here, so this has to be positive, this is negative. So you always check them. Your first is x squared, your outer is -4x, your inner is 5x. -4x and 5x is just 1x. 5 times -4 is -20. Let's factor this one. Same idea. What times what gives you x squared? What times what gives me 2? And when I subtract them, we're going to get -1. So it's 2 and 1, and we need a -1. So we need the bigger number to be negative. So that our outer is 1x, our inner is -2x, and that just gives us -x. So these 2 are factored. We move on to this one. Factor again. You're going to get a lot of practice with factoring. These are very easy factoring problems. We haven't gotten to the difficult ones. Same idea. X times x is x squared. What times what gives me 16, and when we add them, we get 10. Talon?
What?
It's 8 and 2. Both signs are going to be positive. Check them. Outer is 2x, inner is 8x. 2 plus 8 gives us 10. Let's move on to this one. Factor them. X, what times what gives me 40, and when I subtract them I get 3. And that's 8 and 5. We need the bigger one to be positive so that we get a positive number there. The outer is -5, the inner is 8. 8 minus 5 is 3. Now once you factor them, we get to cross out our factors. So let's look to see if there's anything we can cross out. We can cross out the x plus 8s. We can cross out, I think that's about it. A lot of times you can cross out multiple ones and you can have it small, make a lot smaller. But this one you can't cross out a lot. So your final answer is what's going to be left on the top, which is x plus 5, x minus 4, x plus 2 over x minus 2, x plus 1, x minus 5. It's not pretty, but that's how it is. Most of the time you can cross out a lot more than that. All right, let's look at this one. This problem is like simpler than the ones we've done in the past. I don't know why they put that in here all of a sudden. This is a complex fraction. It's a division problem. It's the fraction x over y divided by the fraction k over p. This is simple. You just have to invert the bottom and multiply. So it's k over y times, you flip that, p over k, and your final answer is xp over yk. And that's all. So you just invert the bottom. Remember, when you divide, you flip and multiply. And this is our last problem. This is the same as our first one, except you'll notice that it's a division problem. So before you can do this one, you need to flip the second one and multiply, just like you used to do when you did fractions like 2/3 divided by 3/4. You would just do 2/3 times 4 over 3. You would flip the second one and multiply. So that's all we're going to do. Now as we recopy it, we're going to factor. So I'm going to start factoring this top fraction, the numerator of the first fraction. So I look at it and I notice that there's an x and an a in each term. So I'm going to take that out first. So we're going to take the a and an x out. Look for that first. So we're going to be left with an x squared minus 1. I think I copied this problem wrong. That probably should be an x squared. An a squared. Minus x minus 12 over, and I'm going to start factoring this one. This would be x plus 3, x plus 4. And then on this one we're going to flip it. And as I flip it, I'm going to factor. So it's going to be x. I'm going to factor this, but I'm going to put it on the top. X plus 6, x minus 2. And your outer will be -2x, your inner is 6x, and that does not work. This should be a 4. So you should always check it, make sure you get it right. So that's going to be 4 minus 2 is positive 2. And then I'm going to factor the numerator and put it on the denominator. Here I can take out an ax again. So I get ax, and it's going to be x minus 4. Now we're almost done, except this can be factored further. So I'm going to just factor it up here on the top, even though it's going to be kind of messy. I'm just running out of board space. So we start over ax, and it's going to be x minus 4, x plus 3. Check it. 3 minus 4 is minus 1. So we got it right. Now after everything's all factored, we can see if there's anything we can cross out. We can cross out over top of each other, if there's anything like this x plus 3 and this x plus 3. And we can cross out diagonally. So this ax and this ax can be crossed out. Does anyone see anything else that can be crossed out? There's one more thing. We can cross out the x plus 4s. And we can cross out the x minus 4s. That's what I call a fun problem. So what we have left is simply x minus 2. So on these kind of problems, you need to factor the numerator and denominator of each fraction completely, and then once you factor it, you need to cross out the common factors. Just be careful if it's division, you need to flip the second fraction around as you factor it or before you factor it. I skipped a step, you can not skip a step, it's up to you. So that's it for lesson 36.